So Morgan Rogers has completed his Chelsea medical. The announcement from the club, the official announcement, will be imminent, I'm expecting now. So this is really good. Obviously I've done a whole separate video that went up on Sunday. If you want to check out where I sort of go through the Morgan Rogers situation in more detail, I'll go through the signing in full detail. So I'm certainly very pleased with this signing. In that video I talk about the price tag as well, and also you know, making this move like the last minute seemingly to get a player that seemed destined to go to Arsenal, and a massive move for Chelsea. This is very good moment this window for us, I think. And but in terms of what comes next, I mean, it's a fixed fee actually as well, 117 million. Originally it sounded like there could be add-ons that would take up to 138, but fixed fee 117, so that's good. It was less than we thought. Another thing, apparently, because of something in Cucurella's contract, I think it was 20 million we receive for him winning the World Cup as well, so that's positive for the club. And now, obviously, with Morgan Rogers over the line now, what will be the next move we make? It's looking very much like it's going to be Maxime Lacroix, which is good. Though this move a couple of weeks ago looked like it was almost over the line, looked like it was pretty much there, but then all of a sudden it just fallen through at the last. Well, it didn't fall through, it just stalled. It seemed like it stalled, and then also Travaria last week, we seemed like we had bought that we got him, but that seems to fall through as well. But let's start with Lacroix, because it looks like we're going to get him now. It seemed to there's talks about this. It sounded like almost a done deal 2-3 weeks ago, but then it went really quiet. There was nothing really being said about it. He was still at the World Cup, of course, and it did seem like we were working behind the scenes of Aston Villa to get this Rogers deal over the line, not in the public eye. So maybe that explains why the attention on Lacroix shifted a bit. It wasn't quite such, it didn't need to be done quite so fast, but it's certainly looking like we're favourite to get him at this moment. Not sure about the price tag, but what I do know is this is to be a very good centre back to get, a modern centre back who's a strong player physically, you know, very good for the balls out from the back as well, which is key in modern football, and just overall very strong, well-rounded centre back who I think, you know, has got quite a lot of experience now, playing for France, playing high level for Palace, Premier League proven, good age as well, 26. I think this will be a very good signing for us, so I really hope we can get this one over the line. This will be the next one we get over the line in the coming weeks after this Rogers deal. Now, as for Travaria, this does seem like it's fallen through now, this one, unfortunately. Initially we put in 10 million, which I thought was a bit low, to be honest, which would have been an absolute bargain if we could have got him. He's obviously a left back, plays Rayo Vallecano. 21 million, I think it was, we went back in for. They wanted, then I read something initially saying they wanted closer to 28, but the last I've heard about it is they were now demanding 40, so I think they're taking the mick a bit now, and I think, to be honest, walking away might not be a bad move here. Now, Lewis Hall has also been linked for that position. He's also been someone that's been spoken about. Now, he was a player that we stupidly sold. So what, are we going to admit we made a mistake, go back in for him? See, out of all the options for that left-back position, he's a player I'd really like. I would love to have Lewis Hall back at Chelsea, and I would honestly be happy for the club to go and pay the money and get him back. But it would be a bit of a bizarre situation, seeing as it's a player we sold a few years ago. But at the end of the day, I think it was a mistake selling him. If we can get him back, I hope the club do it, to be honest. And I think, to be honest, would maybe be the best option now for that left-back position, with what Vallecano are demanding for Travaria, and also the other player that was linked was Orejo. Very good player, but the only issue with him is his disciplinary record. Isn't great. Like he's had quite a few sending offs, seems to pick up quite a lot of bookings. I don't think is that really what we need to be bringing into this squad right now, seeing as we had an absolutely horrendous disciplinary record last season, broke records in terms of the amount of red cards we got. Players were getting sent off every other week. Multiple players got sent off twice in the same season. It was a complete disaster on that front. So I think we need. I think Hall will be the best option. I really do. He's proven he could do it at Chelsea before. He's Premier League proven as well. I think that's where we should be looking next for that position. The goalkeeper, as I said previously, I still really want Diogo Costa, top goalkeeper. Very young for a goalkeeper as well, only 26, 27. Proven for Portugal now in multiple tournaments. Fantastic penalty saves. You might remember at Euro 2024. This tournament, I thought he kept the in games as well. Big saves against Spain, and actually again in that first game as well against DR Congo, made some big saves there. And you know, Champions League experience, title winner of Porto. top goalkeeper and really good, strong with distribution as well. More so than other players, other goalkeepers we've been linked with in this window and previous window. So I think, yeah, it's going to cost, but we've already shown already we're not afraid to spend in these owners now. They're seemingly changing the approach. It's certainly looking like not afraid to spend big money if it means we get the top players in that we need. Because we've got Morgan Rogers into that attack now. To go with João Pedro, to go with Cole Palmer. Some very fierce sounding attacking line. I really like the sound of that. Enzo didn't cover himself in glory in the World Cup final the other day. Will he be leaving the club? I think it all remains to be seen. It always seemed like he obviously said he wants to go live in Madrid. We sort of knew he was going to probably be moving on for a while now, for a good way through going back into last season, a few months before the season finished, we sort of knew it was probably be leaving. City, I think, ruled themselves out of the race, even though he's got that good relationship with Enzo Maresca, because it looks like Elliot Anderson is going to be heading there. Slightly different player, but it's certainly looking like I think them signing Anderson would rules them out of the race for Enzo. I think it's fair to say PSG would only go in for him. I think if they was to lose one of their midfielders, probably if they was to lose one of their midfielders, the only club that could afford that I think would pay that sort of money for a player. One of those players would be Real Madrid, which then would open the door for him to go to PSG. That doesn't sound like it's going to happen now. Things are staying the same at PSG, it seems. Doesn't seem like Enrique's going anywhere. And to be honest, why would anyone want to leave PSG at this moment? There seems to be this thing, like a few months back, rumours like, yeah, people could leave and whatever. The same with company at Bayern. This club's doing really well. Especially PSG, you can't get any better than that. Why do you want to leave? At this moment, I think, yeah, definitely still stay the same there for a while, actually. But at least for next season, I think they're not. I'm not expecting much movement there this window. So I think that kind of, in Real Madrid, there's some of the signings they've made as well. We've already done business with them this window, selling Cucurella. I don't know. It does seem like Enzo does really seem like a priority for them at this moment. The team that does want him though is Atletico Madrid, which of course is interesting because whether they pay that sort of money or not, but he'll know Simeone. I'm sure Simeone will like him. I'm sure Simeone will, as the Argentinian link, the Argentinian connection. I'm sure that could come into this as well. Thing is with it though, the only way they could get him, I think, is this to sell Alvarez. Now Alvarez, I read the other day, has a ridiculous release clause in his contract, 500 million, which I don't think any club. I don't think if he leaves, I don't think that's what it will be. I think that's more like some sort of policy, some sort of business that clubs do these days. I don't know, it's a ridiculous number. I don't really know what that's all about, but I don't think anyone's going to pay that. But it does show you the sort, how much he's valued at Atletico, and that they're not going to let him go without a fine. They're not going to let him go for any less than it could well. You could be looking at 130 to 150 million mark. I think realistically, I wouldn't rule out it being more. It just depends whether a team wants to pay that or not. Arsenal, will they pay that sort of money? Bear in mind they missed out on Rodgers. I do think they'll be a bit frustrated about this Rodgers situation. It looked destined to be. They look destined for it, and last minute it seems Chelsea. We've worked behind the scenes with Villa to get this one over the line, and I think Villa have been clever as well in getting the highest possible fee. I think us getting early, we went early. I think we could have, if it had been later in the window, we could have paid less. But I think later in the window we really would have. I think we were really seriously risking missing out. So I can see why they've done it this way around. I can see why Villa have cashed in early. That's the way I'm seeing this anyway. I might be wrong, but that's the way I'm seeing this. And I think Enzo going to Atletico could only happen if they sell Alvarez. There's only two clubs that are really linked with Alvarez. We've had so many opportunities to sign this player, and we for some reason have not wanted to. We for some reason have made life really difficult for ourselves. We could have signed him in about 2 or 3 transfer windows. We've had the opportunity and failed to do so. So I'm really annoyed about that. Actually, remembering previous windows, that feels like one that really got away from us. But there is a way I still think this could work out for Chelsea. So if we are to, if Alvarez is to move on, I think 150 million. So let's just say that it'll be to either Barcelona or Arsenal. They're the only two clubs looking at him. Barcelona, this is good as well because I think they've made some big moves already. And it does seem like João Pedro is not a realistic sort of backup option for them. He's not someone they're considering as instead of Alvarez or as like a realistic option. So that's good because that does seriously increase our chances of holding on to João Pedro. There's no talk with Palmer being linked with move away because there was that Man United talk a little while ago. That's all gone quiet. So that's certainly good. No news is good news on that front, I'd say, with him and João Pedro. The stuff we're hearing coming out of Barcelona, it certainly makes good reading for keeping him because we certainly want to keep that attack. Those two, as I said, especially now we've got Rodgers in that attack, it's looking very it's looking very good. But as for Arsenal, if they are to go in for Alvarez, I think they certainly want him. Will they maybe go a bit earlier this time, seeing as they missed out on Rodgers? I think this will probably be the number one priority now. They do seem to be quite happy to wait till later in the window though and try and get the best fee possible. But then obviously, of course, they risk missing out again, and it'll be to Barcelona this time. But if they do that, Atletico, this could work out really nicely for them, because I think they could. Not only could they replace Alvarez, which we'll come to in a minute, they'd have the money. That would be the sort of money they'd need to pay for Alvarez. They'd pretty much get straight back. They'd pretty much could put straight back in for Enzo. It'd be similar enough, and then that would leave them. Obviously, if they want to replace Alvarez, I think they could do that in signing Vlahovic on a free, which would work out really well for them, because then they gain two. They lose one of their star men, but they gain two players, a player they really want in Enzo, who the manager would really like as well, and also a striker I think the manager would know how to get the best out of as well with Vlahovic. I think it's the type of player I'd really like. And Simeone, and I think there is a way that could work out for Atletico, where even worse, best case scenario is they keep hold of Alvarez, which is a win for them. Or either way, I think Atletico are in a good position here. I think they could work this window out now, where it's a win-win, because I think that wouldn't be bad either. Vlahovic on a free to replace Alvarez, no risk involved, no fee, no. There's not the same risk involved, and then signing Enzo as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Enzo's already said he'll be open to the move to Atletico. It's always been Real that he's been linked with since the stuff about Madrid come about and wanted to move to Madrid. But there is maybe a chance that Atletico, big team as well, always in the Champions League, always feel like they're on the brink of success. There could be something in this. And I would say, depending on how this window works out, Vlahovic could be a good option, I think, for us, for Chelsea, on a free transfer. I really do think that. Because again, I know he's not got the best injury record, and I know it would feel like a real risk. Again, it would feel like a sort of signing we've made in the past that's not worked out. The difference is, though, as I've previously said, free transfer. Yeah, there's the wages, but I think taking him on a free transfer, I think, is a completely different to. It makes completely different reading to signing him to have to have to pay. So I think maybe that's worth considering. From a Chelsea point of view. Now that's sort of what we're hearing about the incomings at the moment. I'm hoping we can sort of bit more can come about, because obviously I still want to improve the defence. A couple of players there. We will obviously, if we get the money for Enzo as well, some of that will be obviously similar sort of fee maybe to what we pay for Rodgers. So investing in a replacement for Enzo would be necessity. Alonso will play a different system, of course, so it's worth thinking maybe they could go for a player that plays a slightly deeper role. They don't necessarily have to sign a direct replacement for Enzo that would score the same goals and get the same assists, because I think we've kind of made up for that in a way with Rodgers. What we would need, though, is someone who can protect that back line alongside Caicedo, because Caicedo without Enzo, I just fear far too open, far too exposed. I think we need to depending on what happens with Enzo, that'll be a priority as well. And centre forward as well, I think would be a good option. We've been linked with various other players though in the attack. We're always linked with so many players, but there's some of the real kind of genuine things at the moment I'm hearing. Now, lastly, players that I think could leave Chelsea. We know Alonso's told 5 players he could they're free to leave. Delap being one of them. Also, Philip Jorgensen. Also, there was Dizassi as well, who's been on loan. We knew that anyway. And the other one was Badiashile, who's obviously linked with Newcastle. Looks like he could be going. And Garnacho, of course, the Roma thing. I'm hoping we can get that over the line soon. So they're the ones that link with move away at the moment. There's a few more that could go. Chalobah, we seem close to agreeing a deal for him to go to Como. There was a lot of talk with Tosin potentially making a move to Serie A as well, but that's gone quiet. And I read something the other day, yesterday, saying he might stay now actually. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. Of course, we sold Ange Santos already. I think it's just a case of we're going to have to wait and see now. I think the coming weeks, I think, are going to be massive as the pre-season is on the horizon as well. I think there's going to be a lot of action in this transfer window. There's going to be a lot of activity. I'm going to be doing regular updates on this. There'll be some non-Chelsea ones as well, but certainly going to have a lot of focus on my team, of course. That's where it's at the moment. So we'll we'll wait and see what happens in the coming days. I'm hoping this Lacroix one though will be the next we get over the line. It seems to be moving in the right direction. I'm really hoping next video I make actually could well be Lacroix to Chelsea confirmed. Let's keep fingers crossed.